Manchester United in talks with Galatasaray over Scott McTominay deal. Amrabat apparently set to decide his future next week, with Manchester United still very keen on signing him permanently. And a shock player has been sold in the last 24 hours. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's live show. But before we get into that, please do me one small favour. Smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 1,000 likes on this morning's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30, 1:30 and 6 p.m. UK time. So if this is your first time watching, make sure to get involved. Currently, only 50% of people who watch this show are subscribed. So if you're one of those who isn't subscribed, make sure you get involved. It's completely free content and it's the best way to keep up to date with all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Right, let's start the show off with some positivity because Omar Barada starts work today. Amazing. We have our new CEO. I was looking on LinkedIn earlier on today. I don't know if anybody uses that, but Omar Barada has updated his job status as starts work at Manchester United as CEO today. I just thought that was funny. But yeah, he's there. He's at Carrington. Now we've got obviously Dan Ashworth as the sporting director. We've got Jason Wilcox as the technical director. And we've now got Omar Barada as our CEO. The elite team has been assembled. And obviously, with Erik ten Hag now getting in Ruud van Nistelrooy and Rene Haak, it's a completely new look Manchester United. You know, if you look at that compared to what we had under the Glazers, it's completely different. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, God. Yeah. So really, really happy about that. And I hope that we can see the difference next season. I know it will take time for them to implement their methods and, you know, it's not going to be an overnight thing. We're not going to suddenly be challenging for the title, I don't think. But it's good to actually have proper football people in Manchester United for once. Too many years we had people like Ed Woodward, John Murtaugh, Richard Arnold, who, let's be honest, weren't good enough. I think we can all agree on it. I mean, in theory, Dan Ashworth, etc., could still fail as well. But I think we are setting ourselves up for a much better chance with this new team that Ineos have assembled. So really, really happy about that. Let's all wish Omar Barada a good, positive start. So welcome. And I wanted to ask everybody a question actually as well, because we spoke about it a little bit on the show yesterday, but it was kind of rushed because the story broke whilst we were live and it was a bit crazy. But what does everyone, now that everyone's had a chance to think about it and a chance to sleep on it, how does everyone feel about the Jadon Sancho news? Let me know in the comment section below. I want to get as many different opinions as possible. And at some point, I'm going to do a show where I bring up all the comments from the comment section and, you know, do a whole show where we look at the comments, etc. So I want everyone to let me know right now in the comment section, are you happy that Jadon Sancho is back in first team training? He's now back available for selection as well, apparently. So apparently he won't be involved against Rosenborg on Monday, but he will be involved against Rangers. So Erik ten Hag and Jadon Sancho are no longer in disagreement. They are friends again, if you like. And he is back in training and he is available for first team selection. I want you to get in the comment section right now and let me know your thoughts. Are you happy that Jadon Sancho is back? Do you think it's the right decision? Let me know. My take on it is this. People were kind of having a go at me for this take as well. So I'm going to try and explain it. People are saying we should do a poll. Let's do a poll. Why not? Are you happy that Sancho is back? Now, my take on it is this, right? If we'd have received a massive offer for Jadon Sancho, or even like a 40, 50 million pound offer, I would have sold him in a heartbeat. But the reality of the situation is this. Manchester United are unable to get any money for Jadon Sancho. Nobody wants to pay any money for him. The only option we had on the table was, at the moment, Juventus saying that we could loan him to Juventus, and apparently we would have had to pay half of his wages. Manchester United have apparently said, this was widely reported yesterday, that any loan deals going forward, they want the other club to pay all of the wages, which I think is correct. Because last season, we loaned him to Dortmund, they got to a Champions League final, and we were still paying half of his wages, which is ridiculous, to be completely honest with you. So apparently Ineos have told all of the interested clubs that if you want Jadon Sancho, either you buy him on a permanent deal, or you have to cover all of his wages. And apparently that put people off. So Manchester United found themselves in a situation where the two options were either loan him out and pay all of his wages, half of his wages, which let's be honest, is not very good. Or they bring him back into training. They make it look like everything's all right. They try and patch up the situation, and that they hope later on in the window, somebody comes back in for him. Because I still think that's a possibility. Just because he's back in training doesn't mean that he's not still up for sale. Remember that. Just because there was pictures of him, with Rashford running about yesterday, doesn't mean that he'll be starting every game for Man United next season. And the thing you have to remember is, right, we've still got about 6 or 7 weeks of the transfer window left. So imagine if in pre-season somebody gets injured for another team, Somebody probably will still come in for him. And I think that what they've done is actually really, really clever, because it's making him look more valuable. A week ago, it was the player that was the outcast, had fallen out with the manager, and that the club wanted to get rid of. Whereas now, he's the player who's just come off the back of a Champions League final. He's back in first team training. Everything's all right now. So if somebody comes and wants him now, the situation's different. We're not exactly trying to push to sell him. Does that make sense? So in short, if we could have got 40, 50 million for him, I would have taken it without a shadow of a doubt. And I think people were kind of missing that when I tried to explain this yesterday. They were like, how can you welcome somebody back who's so toxic and all the rest of it? But we don't really have any other option. And the only other option, as I said, was loaning him out and us being forced to pay half of his wages, which I just don't feel comfortable doing, because I actually think that's worse than what's happening now. Effectively, if you do that, you're facilitating his bad behaviour. You're saying, Jadon, no worries, you go off to Juventus and we'll pay half your wages. And that doesn't benefit us. We're one winger short. So yeah, I actually hope that this keeps his value. And I hope that the further we get throughout the window, more teams come in for Jadon Sancho. And I think they will, to be honest with you. We've still got, 6 weeks left of the window. So yeah, it's not the end of the world. Nick says they are obligated by contract to not deny any player to train. Yeah, but he could have trained with the under-21s, mate. He could have trained with the under-18s. That's what happened before. Remember? Before he went to Dortmund, he wasn't training with the first team. So he is now training with the first team again. Manchester United could have easily sent him to train with the under-21s. Do you not remember? He wasn't even allowed to eat lunch with the team. He wasn't allowed to be around the team. He was completely, secluded from the first team. Whereas now, he's back in full team training. He's back part of the squad and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'm happy about that. But again, let me know in the comment section, what are your thoughts on Jadon Sancho? Are you happy he's back? Is it the correct decision? Let me know your thoughts below. And everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like on today's show, that would be really, really appreciated. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for today's video. So please make sure you go and do that if you haven't already. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. We're only 2 subscribers away from 28,500. So please do go and subscribe. And remember, I've said that I'll be giving out 2 Manchester United shirts once we hit 30k. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. Go and get involved. Completely free content. Really nice community here. Everyone is welcome. Okay, right. So we spoke about Omar Barada. We've spoke about Jadon Sancho. Remember to keep getting in your comments about Sancho if you haven't already. Let's move over to Sofyan Amrabat. So this is coming out from Fabrizio Romano, and he is reporting that Manchester United are planning to make a decision on Sofyan Amrabat next week. It says the option to buy him is there for Manchester United. So we're still interested in Amrabat. And I said this a couple of days ago. He's available for £12 million, apparently. That's how much Fiorentina want for him. He's got 1 year left of his contract. He's refused to sign a new deal at Fiorentina, and we could get him for only £12 million. Again, I want you to let me know in the comments section, should Manchester United sign Sofyan Amrabat for £12 million? Let me know your thoughts below. I think last time we did this question, it was a ridiculous amount of people said yes, but it'll be interesting to see what you guys think now. Should we sign Sofyan Amrabat? Let me know below. My preference would be this. I think we 100% should sign him, because signing Amrabat allows us to probably move on people like Eriksen. Maybe it allows us to move on a McTominay. Maybe it allows us to, to move on a Casemiro. And I think for what we need at the moment, Sofyan Amrabat is the exact player profile that we're looking for. We've got Mason Mount, remember. We've got Bruno Fernandes. We've got Kobe Mainoo. We've got 3 very, very good midfielders there who are more kind of attacking options. Whereas we don't really have any defensive options. McTominay, I don't know what he's good at. Eriksen is obviously an attacking option, but I think his legs are gone. And Casemiro is a defensive option, but I think his legs have gone as well. So we have good attacking midfielders, really, really good ones, don't we? In those three players, Bruno, Mason Mount and Kobe Mainoo. But we're really, really suffering in the more defensive-minded midfielder. And Amrabat is that exact perfect player. Is he world class? No. But is he a very, very good squad player? Yes, I think he is. And for £12 million, does he fill a void that we've got on our team? Yes. The one thing I will say is this, though. If we sign Sofyan Amrabat on a permanent deal, he needs to get more opportunities. Because last season, he didn't get enough game time, Amrabat. And yeah, I think he really, really needed to get a bit more minutes, because we saw how good he was at the end of the season, didn't we? We saw how good Sofyan Amrabat was in that FA Cup final against Man City. We saw how good he was against Newcastle, Arsenal and Brighton in the kind of last 3 or 4 games of the season. He is a quality player, and he's got the physicality of the Premier League. Like, he's really, really good. So for me personally, Amrabat to Manchester United, I think is a definite good bit of business. And I think the other thing as well, which I like about Amrabat, is he's not going to be expensive. He's not on big wages. He's only on about 50k a week apparently at the moment. So he's not going to break the wage bank. And I think it actually helps us in our negotiations for Manuel Ugarte. Because if we can go into the negotiations with PSG and they know that we've already got someone in that position and that we're not desperate, if they want to sell the player, then we should be able to negotiate a slightly better deal. Does that make sense? Whereas obviously, you know, if they know that we're absolutely desperate for a central defensive midfielder and we don't have anyone in that position and all the rest of it, then I think they can probably squeeze a little bit more money out of us. So if we could get Amrabat for 12 million and Manuel Ugarte for 38 million, that's what was being reported this morning. We'll talk about him in a minute. That's 50 million combined. And we've got our central defensive midfield options sorted then. And that would then allow us to sell Casemiro, 50 million pounds apparently to Saudi. It would allow us to probably sell Scott McTominay, 40 million pounds. We'll talk about him in a minute as well. And it would allow us to move on Eriksen. So you could go from Casemiro, McTominay and Eriksen to Amrabat and Manuel Ugarte. And also obviously we've got this youth player that's just been promoted to the first team, Toby Collier. Central defensive midfielder, 20 years of age. He's just signed his first professional contract at Manchester United. Apparently he is one to watch and someone who's going to break through into the first team in the coming years. Erik ten Hag was present at his contract signing for the professional contract. So yeah, apparently he's one to watch. He's English, 20 years of age, Toby Collier, central defensive midfielder, and also can play as centre-back. And he's apparently one to watch this season as the next player from the youth team to break into the first team. So yeah, I think we'd be pretty sorted in that area. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But Amrabat, apparently we will know by this time next week whether Manchester United will decide to go for him. Remember to keep getting your comments in as well. Should Manchester United sign Sofyan Amrabat? Let me know your thoughts below. For me, it's a yes. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think he would be an absolute no-brainer of a signing. But obviously, if you disagree, let me know your thoughts below. Always like to see what other Manchester United fans have to say on these matters. Okay, so keeping on the topic of midfielders, I want to talk a little bit about Scott McTominay, because there is more and more stories coming out saying that apparently McTominay could be leaving the club this summer. So this is coming out from Chris Wheeler this morning, and he is reporting that apparently Scott McTominay is a target for Fulham and Everton. This was reported literally at 9:30 a.m. this morning. I mean, if I'm Manchester United, I'm going back to Everton saying, you want McTominay, we want Branthwaite. Like, let's do a player swap, plus we'll give you maybe like 10 million or something. McTominay plus 10 million for Branthwaite. Like, would you do that deal? Let me know in the comments. I think that would be a good bit of business, to be honest, because we desperately need someone like Branthwaite. We desperately need a versatile centre-back who is good with both feet and can cover at left-back, which Branthwaite ticks all of those boxes. Whereas, other than McTominay's attacking capabilities, I don't think he really offers us that much else, to be honest with you. And the thing we have to remember with McTominay as well is, right, he is starting to run down his contract, and Manchester United effectively need to decide now whether they give him a big new contract or they look to move him on. He's 27 years of age, 1 year left of his deal. So either they give him, you know, a 3-4 year contract now and McTominay's still a first-team player at the age of 30, 31. Or they say, you know what, we're going to cash in on him. It will be 100% profit if we sell him. I would personally sell him, I think. If we could bring in Amrabat, Ugarte, and then promote this Toby Collier CDM, I think our midfield will improve overnight if we did that. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Should Manchester United try and do some sort of swap deal with Everton for Jared Branthwaite? Fulham, obviously we know Fulham are interested. They've just sold João Paulinho to Bayern Munich for 50 million euros. So they've got some money to spend and they need to fill that void that João Paulinho leaving will cause in their team. So there is genuine competition for McTominay. And apparently as well, Galatasaray are apparently interested in signing him as well. And apparently the story goes as far that members of the Galatasaray board have been in Manchester over the last couple of days to discuss a potential deal. Now, I don't really understand this link, to be honest. Like, do we really think Galatasaray are going to pay Manchester United the amount of money that we would require in order to sell McTominay? Like, didn't Galatasaray offer like 8 million euros for Wan-Bissaka a couple of weeks ago, which is about £5 million? I'm not being funny. I know Galatasaray are a very successful club and all the rest of it, but they don't exactly spend big money on transfers, do they? Let's be honest here. So if I'm Manchester United, I would definitely not be looking to sell McTominay to Galatasaray. I'm just having a look now, right? Galatasaray's record signing is a guy called Zardel, which was in 2001, and they bought him for 17 million euros. So in the last 24 years, the most money they've spent on one player is 17 million euros. And I think we'd all agree that McTominay is worth way more than 17 million euros, right? I'd be looking for 40 million pounds for McTominay, personally, especially to a Premier League club, because the thing you have to remember is, right, he is a homegrown player, so he will comply with the homegrown quota. Obviously, that's not relevant for Galatasaray, but for a Fulham or an Everton, a McTominay would be classed as a homegrown player. So that does bump up the price for English clubs. The same with Branthwaite. He's a homegrown player. That's why he's probably being priced at 20, 30 million more than what he's actually worth. Because, remember, Premier League clubs need to have a certain amount of homegrown players in their squad, and McTominay would offer that. So Galatasaray link, I don't really understand. I think is a little bit strange. I think, why would we even bother negotiating with them? I'm not being funny. They're not going to give us the money we need, but I guess it's good to have healthy competition. We have Galatasaray, we have Fulham, we have Everton, all wanting to sign McTominay. But yeah, Manchester United have a decision to make. They have a big, big decision to make. And either they give him a new deal right now, probably 3-year, 4-year contract. They give him probably more wages and all the rest of it. Or they sell him, they cash in, 100% profit because he's come through the youth academy, and then they go and reinvest that money. That's the way forward for me personally, but it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Should we do a poll on it? Yeah, let's do a poll on it. Whilst I set up the poll, if everybody who's just joined could do me a small favour and hit the like button. I've set a likes target of 1,000 for this morning's show. We've got nearly 1,000 people watching, so if everybody who's watching right now hits the like button, we will hit that target. And we're only one subscriber away from 28,500. So somebody who's watching right now, please subscribe and let's hit that next milestone. I'm going to read out the results of the last poll really, really quickly. So I asked you the question, are you happy that Jadon Sancho is back? If you haven't, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do that now. The poll is this: 60% of people watching today are not happy that Jadon Sancho is back, and 40% of you are happy that he's back. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's do this. So we'll do McTominay. Remember to like and subscribe whilst I'm setting this up. Well, what should United do with McTominay? 1 year left on contract. Give me 1 second, everybody. Give new contract. Sell this summer. Okay, so anybody watching back on repeat, you can get involved in the comment section. The question is simple. What should Manchester United do with McTominay? He's got 1 year left of his contract. Your two options are either you give him a new contract or you sell him this summer. What would you do? Because if you don't give him the new contract and you don't sell him, you run the risk of him leaving for free next year. So that's the reality, and that's where we find ourselves. at this moment. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. And let's move over to Manuel Ugarte, though. Let's keep on the topics of central defensive midfielders. Let me just have a sip of my tea. Okay, so the Uruguay third place game against Canada is today. And after that, we are expecting the Ugarte deal to take it up a level. It's been widely reported in the last 24 or so hours that Manchester United are still deep in negotiations with PSG over a deal. The story is that Manchester United are now pushing hard to sign Manuel Ugarte from PSG. Apparently, PSG are demanding £50 million, while Manchester United think a bid of 35 is more realistic. The story says that their understanding is that the two teams will meet in the middle. I've heard and been told that apparently Manchester United are going to end up paying around £38 million plus add-ons. Apparently the add-ons might take the deal up to 50 million, but some will be easily achievable and some will be harder. So it might be like win the Premier League, win the Champions League, whatever. I don't know the breakdown of the add-ons, but obviously the easier ones will be like play 20 games this season or keep 5 clean sheets, and then the harder ones will be like win trophies, blah, blah, blah. So it does look like Manuel Ugarte to Manchester United is a deal that will happen. He has already spoke to Erik ten Hag. He's already, understands his place within the team. He wants to come to Manchester United. He's excited about the project. So definitely one to keep an eye on. Apparently, we are still waiting for a formal bid, but the negotiations are getting closer. And as I've said to you before, right, Manchester United and Ineos are doing things in the correct way this summer. They are sorting out the stuff with the players first. They're agreeing personal terms. They're agreeing wages, all the rest of it. And then they're putting in the bids at the last minute once they know that both the club and the player are going to accept the deal, which is how it should be done. Because, if we rewind back to 2022, right, we spent the whole summer negotiating a deal for Frankie de Jong, didn't we? Eventually they accept the deal, and then Frankie de Jong says he doesn't want to come. And we literally wasted 3 months of the window. All of our effort was on Frankie de Jong, and then we ended up with nothing. We lose our first 2 games of the season against Brighton at home and Bournemouth and Brentford away. Yeah, I think we lost 4-0 to Brentford, and then Manchester United go and sign Casemiro for 70 million because they panicked and because they'd wasted their whole summer trying to sign Frankie de Jong, who didn't want to come here. Whereas this year, it maybe feels like things are happening slowly, but to me, they're doing it in the correct, methodical way. They're doing it in the order that transfers should be done. They agree personal terms first. They speak to the player first. They speak to the club and identify whether they want to sell the player. They work out a rough idea of how much the club wants. And then once all of those things are ticked off, they put in an official bid. And as we saw with Xerxes, as we're about to see with De Ligt, the deals then get over the line. And I am seeing a big change versus what we saw under the Glazers and under John Murtagh and Richard Arnold. Yes, it's still early days. Yes, things can change. Yes, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to win the Champions League. Obviously, we're not in the Champions League, the Premier League next season. But I am seeing a positive moment at the moment, and we are setting things up in a more, as I said, methodical and clever way. So yeah, really, really happy about that. But let me know what you think about McTominay and Ugarte in the comments below. Right, let's move over to the player that is leaving the club. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm pretty upset about this, but the headline this morning is that apparently Willy Kambwala has agreed a permanent deal to join Villarreal. This is being widely reported this morning. He's got 1 year left of his contract. We spoke about it a couple of days on the show that apparently he doesn't want to sign a new contract at Manchester United. And being completely honest, I don't blame Willy Kambwala. All he has to do is look at Manchester United's transfer activity, right? It's widely reported that we want to sign 3 centre-backs this summer. De Ligt, Lenny Yoro and Branthwaite. Where do you think Willy Kambwala fits in that plan? I mean, he doesn't, does he? Now, I would have personally liked to see Willy Kambwala sign a new deal and loaned out because I do think there's potential there. But at the same time, I do understand. I understand that Willy Kambwala probably could go to a Villarreal and start every single week, So I am disappointed because I like it when we bring people through the youth academy. I like it when, we have homegrown players who Manchester United have had from a young age, bring through, they get the first team moments. And it is a special thing, isn't it? Because over the last 100 years or so, whatever, since the beginning of Manchester United, we've been known for, bringing through players. So it is always sad when someone like this leaves, but you have to kind of look at it from the other person's perspective. He's probably been offered, a decent wage to go and play for Villarreal. He's only on about 5k a week at Man United at the moment. So I don't know whether they've tried to offer him a deal and maybe the money wasn't that good, or, they've told him that he's not going to be starting, obviously. I don't know. We don't know the ins and outs of it, but apparently he's going to join Villarreal. We're not expecting the deal to be confirmed today, but it's been widely reported that as early as next week, Willy Kambwala will move to Villarreal on a permanent contract. I'm not too sure how much money it's going to be for, to be honest. It hasn't been reported yet, but I don't think it will be very much money, personally. I think it will probably be quite a small amount, but again, don't take my word for that. I can't really see Villarreal paying like big money for Willy Kambwala. If I was to guess, take in mind this is a guess, so don't quote me on this. I imagine it will probably be somewhere between 5 and 10 million euros. That would be my guess, but again, emphasize that as a guess. It's not like Villarreal break the bank. Their biggest ever signing was Dan Juma for 20 million euros. So I can't see them paying, crazy money for Willy Kambwala, which is disappointing because you look at teams like Man City and Everton and Chelsea in recent years, they've been selling youth players that we've never even heard of for like 20, 30 million pounds. And we've got a player here who was absolutely unbelievable against Liverpool in the Premier League, played a decent amount of games for Man United and probably is going to leave for a really small amount of money. And we can't use that same excuse of, big wages and all the rest of it. He's only on a really, really small amount of money. Somebody's saying that Fabrizio's just tweeted about Willy Kambwala. Give me 1 second. Let me have a look. We've got over 1,100 people watching the show live here. Yeah, we have got the here we go for Fabrizio Romano, as I said. So Fabrizio has said this. Villarreal are now closing in on a deal to sign Willy Kambwala from Manchester United. He says, I understand it will be a permanent transfer for a fee of 10 million euros. He says the deal also includes a future buyback clause for Man United. Final details. I'll be honest with you, I think that's good. Let's do a poll. 10 million euros for Willy Kambwala. It's been confirmed by Fabrizio. I'm going to set up a poll and see what you guys think. So in relation to the last poll, the question was, what should we do with McTominay? 12% of you said we should give McTominay a new contract, and 88% of you said we should sell him this summer. So that's fine. Let's do a poll for Willy Kambwala. Whilst I set up this poll, if everyone watching the video could smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. We've got over 1,100 people watching live now. I've set a likes target of 1,000, so please go and subscribe as well. We're still one away from 28,500, so somebody go and subscribe. Let's hit that next target. Let's do this. Are you happy with 10 million euros for Willy Kambwala? Okay. So yeah, this has been confirmed by Fabrizio now. It wasn't Fabrizio who told me the story before, it was someone else, but obviously everyone knows Fabrizio is the most reliable journalist alongside David Ornstein. So 10 million euros. I'm going to be honest with you, I think that's actually quite good business from Man United, because remember, that will be 100% profit. Fabrizio says there's a buyback clause, so if he goes to Villarreal and does well, then we can bring him back in future years. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's almost like a loan deal in some ways. We get 10 million now, which we can invest in our squad this season. He wasn't going to get game time. Even if we didn't sign any centre-backs, I don't think he'd get game time, because obviously Martinez, Lindelof, Maguire and Johnny Evans would have been ahead of him. And obviously Luke Shaw was complete left-sided centre-back as well. So even if we don't sign any centre-backs, right, Willy Kambwala would have been the 6th choice centre-back. Think about it. And if we sign 3 more centre-backs, like, how far down the list is he going to be? I think that's a really good bit of business, to be honest. 10 million euros with only 1 year left of his contract for a player who's probably only played, 10 first-team games in his career for Man United? Maybe not even that. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And I really, really like that there's this buyback clause, which if in 2 or 3 years, Willy Kambwala turns out to be the player we think he could be, we can just bring him back to Manchester United. So I'm actually really, really happy about this. And obviously I wish Willy Kambwala all the best. I think he's definitely a very, very good player. And I think he definitely has big potential, but it's just about what's the best way of bringing out that potential in a player, you know? And I think Manchester United here have been very, very clever. Instead of letting the contract run down and letting him leave for free next summer, instead, they've moved him on, got a decent amount of money. That's 100% profit as well, remember, because he's come through the youth academy. So I'm happy about this one. But you can let me know in the comment section. Willy Kambwala to Villarreal, 10 million euros. Are you happy about that? Do you think it's good business? Let me know your thoughts. A couple of seconds ago, I said I think it will be 5 to 10 million euros. That was my guess. And it's at the very top end of my guess. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. No problem whatsoever. But obviously, you can let me know in the comment section. You can vote in the poll. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, let's move on from Willy Kambwala, though. Got a couple of other stories to get through before we end today's video. I'm just thinking now, right? Do we think Manchester United are going to sign 3 centre-backs then? Kambwala's gone. Varane's gone. Johnny Evans has just signed a new contract. I don't know if everybody knew that. Johnny Evans has just signed a new 1-year deal, by the way. Maguire is apparently up for sale. Lindelof is in talks with Fenerbahce. Obviously, Jose Mourinho is at Fenerbahce. I could genuinely see us signing 3 centre-backs. Because if our plans go ahead how we're expecting, Kambwala gone, Varane gone, Maguire up for sale, and Lindelof up for sale, that would be 4 centre-backs leaving. So we would probably need to bring in 3. And those 3 would obviously be De Ligt, 35 million, Lenny Yoro for 42 million, and Branthwaite. I don't know how much Branthwaite's going to cost, to be honest. It's going to be a lot of money, but yeah, I do think 3 centre-backs is probably needed now. Unless there's someone in the youth academy that can come through, but I'm not aware of any youth players that are kind of knocking on the door from in the centre-back position. But yeah, if anybody knows, let me know. I'm not too sure about that though. Okay, I wanted to talk about Casemiro really, really quickly. So Casemiro is now back at Manchester United. He is in training, but my understanding is that apparently Saudi clubs are deep in negotiations with Manchester United over selling Casemiro this summer. Apparently, Al Ittihad are the club leading the race for his signature at the moment, but apparently Al Nassr are also interested in signing Casemiro. Now, how much do we think Casemiro is worth? That's the $1 million question. He's on big wages, 350k a week, but remember, Saudi clubs pay crazy, crazy wages. Like, the wages don't put off the Saudi clubs. So, I would be looking for about 40 to 50 million for Casemiro. We paid 60 million for him 2 seasons ago. If we could get 50 million for him, I'd be happy with that. Because that would effectively meant we'd have only lost 10 million and we'd have had him for 2 seasons. And in his first season, I would probably argue that he was worth every penny we paid for him, Casemiro. Last season obviously was not good, but the first season he was really, really solid. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens with that one. But at the moment, apparently Man United are asking for 40 to 50 million for Casemiro. He's got 2 years left of his deal. Man United apparently want to clear the big earners out of the club, and he is obviously on absolutely ridiculous wages, 350k a week. He's paid about £20 million a season in wages, Casemiro, which for a team that are not even going to be in the Champions League, I don't really see how we can pay £20 million a year in wages to one player. I said this on the show a couple of days ago, right? The whole of Luton's Premier League squad earns, I think it was about £22 million combined, and we're paying Casemiro 20 million. So he almost earns the same amount of money on his own as the whole of a Premier League squad, of like a 30-man Premier League squad. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy how football's gone, and, you know, how mad money is in football at the moment. But I guess it just is what it is, isn't it? There's not really much we can do about that other than move them on. Somebody in the chat saying, what about Will Fish? Do you think he's ready for the first team? I'll be honest with you, mate. I haven't seen that much of Will Fish to give an opinion. I've heard people say he's good. You know, I've heard people say he's decent, but yeah, I don't really know enough about Will Fish to say whether he's 100% ready to start for Manchester United. I would probably say no, but yeah, don't take my words for it. I need to see more of Will Fish to be able to give a 100% answer on him. I'm just trying to see. Yeah, Will Fish was on loan last season, wasn't he? Let's have a look. He was on loan at Hibernian. I'll be honest, I don't know how well he did there. As a backup option, I mean, yeah, maybe, but I don't think we can really rely on Will Fish, to be honest, as like a starting option for Man United. Whereas Willy Kambwala, I think, was good enough to at least be a squad rotation player. So, yeah. Somebody says, I don't see a scenario where Lenny Yoro would even play for Man United. I don't see how he would get game time. That's a fair point, mate. But I've been told, okay, that apparently Manchester United are looking at playing a back five next season. So there'll be 3 centre-backs. Because remember, right, our defence last season was an absolute mess. I think we conceded the most shots on goal out of any team, other than maybe the bottom team. We conceded way too many goals, sloppy goals. So apparently Erik ten Hag is considering going to a back five. So it would effectively be 3 centre-backs, and then you'd have a left wing-back and a right wing-back. So I guess you'd have Luke Shaw as your left wing-back and Dalot as your right wing-back. So, yeah. I know what you mean. In the current setup, Lenny Yoro probably wouldn't get that much opportunities. But if we went to a back five and you needed 3 centre-backs playing every single game, then I think he would. Well, he would, wouldn't he? Because it would probably be Martinez, De Ligt, and Lenny Yoro. And then you'd have Branthwaite and Johnny Evans as your kind of backups. So, yeah. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Jason says, I don't understand. We can't play all 3 centre-backs. Well, we can, mate, if we play a back five. That's what the narrative is at the moment, that Erik ten Hag is looking at playing a back five. And I'll be honest with you, I've got no problem with that. People say it's negative. People say it's defensive. I actually think it would allow us to control the games more if we played a back five, because at the moment, we're all over the place. At the moment, watching Manchester United is like a game of basketball, isn't it? It's entertaining, but it doesn't help with your heartburn. You're sat there, 1 minute we're at their end, the other minute they're... Do you know what I mean? It literally is like a game of basketball watching Man United. There's no control. There's no composure. Like, the possession stats, usually the other team have more possession than us. So, if we want to get results, which I assume most people watching today want results, I think a back five would be the best option, to be completely honest. Anderson says, I think it'll be a 3-4-2-1. Yeah, that's the back five, isn't it? Effectively. Because you've got 3 centre-backs. You have 4 in midfield, but 2 of them are wing-backs. So, yeah, I would go with what Anderson said. You know, this 3-4-2-1. You have 3 centre-backs, 4 in midfield, 2 kind of central attacking midfielders and 1 striker. Obviously, the only problem with that is it means what do you do with Rashford and Garnacho? Because in a 3-4-2-1, you don't have a right winger and a left winger. You have wing-backs. And let's be honest, Rashford couldn't play as a wing-back because he doesn't track back enough. So it would probably have to be Dalot and Luke Shaw as your wing-backs, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I don't really know how Man United would get around that, to be honest. But obviously, we'll wait and see. I'm really excited for the season to start. I'm excited for the pre-season games next week. We've got one against Rosenborg on Monday, which I'll be watching. I'll probably do a watch-along for that game if people are interested. Let me know if you're interested in a watch-along for the Rosenborg game. I know lots of other channels do watch-alongs, and I feel like it's quite tiring, the watch along. So I only want to do it if people actually want to watch it. Like if you enjoy watching other people's watch alongs, then that's obviously completely fine. I've got no issues with that whatsoever. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap the video up here, guys. I've got to go to an appointment in about 5 minutes, so I better make a move. But if everyone could do me a small favor and hit the like button before you leave, I would really, really appreciate it. And also, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. As I said a couple of days ago, once we hit 30k, I'm going to be giving out 2 of the new Manchester United shirts. So everyone who's new today, please go and subscribe. It's completely free content. Have a lovely day, everybody. I'll be back at 1:30 for a lunchtime roundup. Thank you so much for spending your Saturday morning, evening, afternoon with me. And I'll speak to you all at 1:30 UK time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you go. Bye for now.